Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to be here today because I have been meaning to plan my 2026 books, and I thought, why don't I make a cute little video showing you guys my process, my thinking, and also help you plan the books and the authors that you want to start reading in 2026. I thought it would be really fun for me to create a Notion board for you guys. So I created a template that we are going to fill out today. The way that I've used this Notion board before is I've written down the first-time authors that I'm interested in reading and the books that I know for a fact I want to read this year. And I kind of just check this list throughout the year and remind myself what are the books that I'm actually interested in reading and try to figure out how to incorporate them into my schedule. Although I love to plan my reading, I am also very aware that sometimes you just need to go to the bookstore and feel the vibe and get a book that really speaks to you. So the main purpose of this Notion doc is for you to narrow down the books that you actually want to read this year, and in those in-between times, make sure that you're grabbing the books from your doc because you know for a fact you've been wanting to read them for some time. Now, without further ado, let me walk you through the Notion board and let me show you what we are going to be filling out today. There will be a link in the description box for you to download this template. Of course, it is absolutely free. If you end up filling this out, please show it to me. Tag me on Instagram because I want to see the way that you guys customize this and fill this out. So yeah, let's go to the Notion board and get our 2026 reading goals started. How pretty does this look? So first of all, let me walk you through the doc and sort of explain to you how I've structured it, and then we're going to fill it out together. So at the very top, I have a section for setting the intentions and the place where we're going to be writing down what types of books we want to read, what themes are we interested in exploring, and sort of what categories of fiction we want to get into. I know for a fact I want to read sci-fi this year, so that's something I'm going to be writing down later on. This is important to me because throughout the year I've been thinking about what themes I'm interested in exploring and what kinds of books I want to read more of. So this is a good space for you to write it down and just take it out of your head and put it somewhere else. Then we have probably the most important section, which is where we're going to be writing down our actual goals. On the left side of the screen, you will see I have included in a very small section the yearly book goal and monthly book goal. I'm gonna be honest, I don't love the idea of constantly reminding myself how many books a year I'm trying to read. To me, what is most important is that I'm always reading something. And if I am always reading something and I'm starting and finishing my books within like a month's time frame, I feel like I'm doing fine. But I still do want to add it here because one of my goals this year is to read more than last year. So it's just something to keep in mind. Also, it is always helpful to do the math. So if you have a yearly book goal of, let's say, 20 books a year, which is my actual reading goal, you're able to break that down by months and see, okay, perhaps I need to read 2 books a month. And for the months where I am too busy to read 2 books a month, I guess that's okay, because if I push myself to read 2 books a month, eventually I may end up with a little over 20. Why don't we just write that down? My yearly book goal is 20 books. Monthly book goal, I'm gonna set it to 2. I know that I can read 2 books a month some months, but not every month. So some months I am going to hit my goal and some months I'm not going to, and I think that's fine. This is just for fun. All right, let's talk about first-time authors. So I feel like a lot of us have a list of people that we're interested in reading. So we're gonna start writing down the authors that we have had our eye on for some time and we finally decided to read this year. In my case, I really want to read a James Baldwin book this year. I've heard great things and I'm tired of not knowing what those great things are. So this year, for sure, first-time author, James Baldwin for me. Another first-time author is Donna Tartt. I really want to read The Secret History this year because I have heard such great things about Donna Tartt in general, I want to make sure that this year, even if I don't read The Secret History, I write down that I am interested in reading Donna Tartt, right? Another author that I really want to read this year is Elena Ferrante. I already have a Ferrante book in my bookshelf. I am planning to read The Days of Abandonment sometime this year. However, I may also read My Brilliant Friend. You never know. So because I'm not actually planning on reading one specific book from Elena Ferrante, I'm just going to keep her in the first time author section. Now, as far as the books that I want to read, I am actually reading Pride and Prejudice right now. Another book that I really want to read this year is Frankenstein. I watched the movie last year and absolutely loved it. I am aware that the book is very different from the movie, so I want to read Frankenstein and see what's the tea, honey. Another random book that I want to read this year is Bonjour Tristesse. I feel like I am not spelling this right. Let me actually double check on that. Okay, I actually did write it right. Ooh, look at me. Okay, so Bonjour Tristesse by Francois Sagan. You tell me. Okay, so Bonjour Tristesse is a book that I've been meaning to read since the summer of last year. I don't know, you guys, I've been feeling like I'm being pulled back to Frenchness. And even in the movies that I'm watching, I really want to watch some of those French New Waves, Godard films, because I have not seen more than like 2. So I was thinking, oof, why don't I read Bonjour Tristesse and have like a little Godard marathon over the weekend? Like that sounds so much fun to me. Another book that I would really like to read this year is Chess Story by Stefan Zweig. I'm sorry, Mr. Stefan. One of my biggest goals this year is to learn how to play chess. I have already learned the moves of each piece and I'm practicing on like the chess app. If you have not heard about this book, it's basically about a man who's like a chess world champion who is traveling by ship, and basically because he's like a chess master, the people in this ship try to like play against him to see if they can win. They cannot, obviously, except for this like mysterious person who all of a sudden shows up and is like the best chess player in the ship. It sounds like a very fun, interesting book, so I want to read that for sure. Okay, now let's go back to the authors and think about the writers that I absolutely love and want to read more of. Last year, it was Joan Didion. This year, I'm thinking I want to read another Sally Rooney. I loved Normal People so much, and I have not read anything else from her since. So I really think it's time for me to read Conversations with Friends. I have Intermezzo in my bookshelves, but I don't want to read Intermezzo yet. Like, I want to read Sally's early work first and then get to Intermezzo, because I've heard Intermezzo is her best book yet. So I don't want to read her best book yet before I have read all of her other novels. So for sure, I am returning to Sally Rooney this year. Another author that I, of course, have to continue reading is Dostoevsky. Loved Crime and Punishment, as many of you know. And although I'm not ready to read another long novel, I think this would be a good year for me to read White Nights, which is a very short novel of his. So for sure, if it's not White Nights, it's something else, but Dostoevsky, I am returning to you this year. Now, I do have a section here for long books. I love to read a long book during the summer. I think it's because I live in a very warm climate. So the summer to me is just kind of one long, hot afternoon over and over and over again. I feel like people have this with winter books. So to me, I try to replicate that during summer with a long book. I have a few contenders for long books. I really want to read the sequel to The Three-Body Problem. I believe it's called The Dark Forest. I love The Three-Body Problem, so of course I want to continue to read the series. Another book though that I really want to read is East of Eden. I don't know if I will have the time to read East of Eden this year, but I want to write it down here anyways, because if I'm not feeling in the mood for sci-fi during the summer, I'm picking up East of Eden. Like, it's happening and I want to make sure that I write it down so that idea doesn't just stay up here. Another long book I'm really interested in reading is Jane Eyre. You guys, I really want to read Jane Eyre. I am just a girl. Like, I want to read about another girl in another century just living her life. It is on the longer side, so I am adding it to the long book section. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm keeping my eye out for it and really hoping and praying that it happens this year. I mean, I am the only person who can make it happen, but you know what I mean. Now let me show you the rest of the doc. So in the middle section, we have sort of a breakdown of the books that we've read throughout the year. I like adding a little picture of the book and then writing the title next to it so that I'm able to check it off. In January, I read Sula. Of course, I also use Goodreads for these, but isn't it so much fun to just have a doc where you can put everything in? Anyway, I am reading Pride and Prejudice in February. Of course, you can duplicate and edit this field and just continue to fill it out as the months go by. Let's talk about the books read section. This is optional. I basically created a database where you can write each book that you've read, give it a tag, add the dates that you read, add the rating, and then add the vibes of the book. I made this database 2 years ago and I just added it here as an example for you. Feel free to delete everything I've added and add whatever you want to this. As you can tell, my vibes category started very broad with effervescent and thoughtful and ended in very specific, like master manipulator and charisma as currency. So feel free to add whatever vibe you want to add to this. It is your template to fill out, so do as you please. Now, when you open the individual page of the novel, you will see a picture of the book, my Goodreads review, and then a Goodreads summary of the plot. Now, I decided to add my Goodreads review, but you don't have to do that because you can use this doc to write your actual thoughts about the book and your actual review. So you can just go ahead and do my review and talk about the things that you loved about the book. For example, Small Things Like This to me is a novel that focuses a lot on the heart of people and doing the right thing. And why do I have like a Goodreads summary here? I think it's important to have like the synopsis of the book just written down here. Sometimes I forget like what a book is about, even though I have like strong feelings about it and I remember little things that happen in the book. I think it's helpful to just have this here. To me, the goal with this section is to take everything that's in my head and just put it somewhere else for me to read later. And that way I'm able to remember my books better and I'm able to sort of have them with me longer. I think this is so much fun and I cannot wait for you guys to try this as well. Now, this is a short Notion page, so we have reached the end of the page. I added a very cute picture on the left side and then my favorite quote about reading, which is, "You think your pain and your heartbreak are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read. It was books that taught me that things that tormented me most were the very things that connected me with all the people who were alive, who had ever been alive." As many of you know, this is a quote by James Baldwin, an author that I need to read this year. So I left it here as a reminder of why I read and why I love books. Okay, that was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that this template helps you with planning your reading for the year. And I hope that you had just as much fun watching this as I had making it. So thank you guys so much for watching. As mentioned, there will be a link to the Notion board in the description box for you to download and basically make it yourself. Literally customize it to your liking. And yeah, if you end up filling this out, please tag me on Instagram. Like, I'm dying to see what this looks like for those of you who wanna fill it out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I get to see you again soon. And yep, have a great rest of your day. Bye.